and then as we start recording, I'll start transmission. Right? Everybody set? Wait for it to get into the YouTube channel. Right? Sorry, just I think the seconds up here a little bit. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's my pleasure to present Dr. Sheny. So also thank Cheng for availability and willingness to share her ideas with us. And the way this will work is that she would give an overview of Wellcome Trust and the funding schemes that they have, and then we'll open up for question and answer session. Just as a reminder, the questions that will be answered here on the channel, more of those that are in the general nature, apply for more than one person, and more specific questions regarding your own ideas or project can be answered by email, which Cheng will share later. So Dr. Cheng, she's a research manager at the Wellcome Trust Discovery Research Team, United Kingdom, and she did her PhD at Columbia University, Genetics Development Department, and later on a postdoc at the University of Oxford, working with the development of environmental diseases. So her experience in both basic and applied science helps her to bridge the gap between the research and Wellcome Trust, where she has been working on for the last 11 years. And later on, she'll be joined by Sarah Lloyd, who's our senior manager for early career researchers in the early career development research team, to answer questions that might come from this channel. So thank you so much, Sheny, for joining us. Next time, hopefully, it'll be in person from Brazil. Yeah, you have to come. I'll turn off my mic now.
Thank you very much, Irene, and everybody for the kind invitation and the opportunity to speak to you all. As my friend, colleague Sarah has just joined. Since she's joining at the beginning, maybe I'll let her say wave hello. So I haven't started.
Okay.
And so we're taking this very informal, very casual. What was I doing? Okay, I'm going to start sharing the my slides. And I was halfway through my thanking everybody for the opportunity and the time to so that I can talk to you a little bit more about Wellcome. Let me see if I can share this.
Square with the arrow upwards.
Yeah. Is it sharing?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. So today we're going to talk to you a little bit about Wellcome and our funding and the funding opportunities available at Wellcome, and how committees review applications here, and the sort of things that we care about and would like to see. So to start, just a little bit about Wellcome. For those of you who have not come across Wellcome, Wellcome is an independent and global charitable foundation. We are financially and politically independent with no shareholders or political allegiances. And as well as supporting research, we build global partnerships and advocacy campaigns, working with people and organizations using research to improve health. So our vision is a healthier future for everybody, everyone. Our mission is supporting science to solve the urgent health challenges facing everyone. And we do this, generally speaking, through two different modes, the discovery mode and the solutions mode. And this is how effectively we're structured also at Wellcome. Under discovery, the discovery mode is oriented to discovery in its broader sense. So through discovery, we enable individuals to ask questions about life, health, and well-being, and to generate knowledge with the potential to transform future health in the future. That's potential. Does not need to have immediate impact or translation or be translational in its nature. And discovery research, which I will talk to you a little bit more about in a minute, sits under discovery. Under solutions, we are structured through 3 health challenge areas: climate and health, infectious disease, and mental health. And in here, under solutions, we focus on urgent health challenges where our experience and influence can accelerate solutions, and we have impact in the short term. So effectively, they are looking for. So the research under the solutions mode is a little bit more applicable, more translational, and the line of sight to impact is a lot shorter. And so today I'll talk to you a little bit about the funding opportunities under Wellcome, and they're structured differently under discovery and solutions. So I will start with solutions really briefly. And under the solutions, so climate health, infectious disease, and mental health, we more often than not have targeted funding calls. Those are one-off calls on a particular topic. So there are some examples here. Some of them are open currently. So the one in mental health is open, and one in climate health is currently open. The example from infectious disease just recently closed, but it's obviously relevant to Brazil. And the second one for mental health is opening soon. But these are one-off calls, and they have different criteria, different requirements, different amounts of money, different eligibility. So I won't go into each of them in detail because all of them are so different. But what I will say is that if you'd be interested in any of these targeted calls, there's a lot more information on our website. Each of them will have a page, and you can find all the information that you need there. Should you still have additional questions, there is a email address there, and I'll repeat the email address on multiple occasions later on, that you can contact us and ask more specific questions that you may have. Going back to discovery research, our funding under discovery research, so more blue skies type of research, is primarily done through open mode funding. And I know open mode is what we use here at Wellcome, and open mode just means that we're open to your ideas. So they're not targeted in a particular topic. Instead, they're structured based on career stages of the individuals that are applying. We have 3 rounds per year. So this are not one-off. You have 3. You see each of these schemes 3 times per year, and so we encourage everybody to take their time and apply whenever is most suitable to you. From time to time under discovery, we will also have targeted one-off calls. So, for example, Bioimaging Technology Development Awards. But today, I primarily will focus on the Early Career Award, the Career Development Award, and the Discovery Award. And I'll go into those in a little bit more detail. Okay. So the schemes. So first, before that, I want to talk a little bit about discovery research and what we care about in discovery research. In discovery research, we looking to fund field opening research across a breadth of disciplines, and we want to bring fields and perspectives together. At the heart of our funding are the people and their careers. We want to unlock the potential of researchers by giving them time and freedom to truly be curious and pursue their ideas, and encourage researchers to work together to push boundaries and answer, big, interesting questions. And finally, we support a strong research ecosystem, and we want to address barriers and bottlenecks to funding, tools, technologies, resources, and create conditions for researchers to be creative and imaginative by supporting a positive research culture. And our research is global. So we have a strong commitment to support researchers in low and middle income countries, which we believe is vital for achieving impact. Supporting high quality discovery research in global settings enables us to build a portfolio that reflects the research priorities in different settings. And we want the research we fund to be more representative of the international research landscape, and believe that by supporting strong and diverse group of global researchers, we will ensure greater impact of the research that we fund. So if you are more interested in hearing more about our OB-led research, there's a QR code It includes actually a short presentation and examples of the types of research that we funded. So what are we looking to support in Discovery? We want to support researchers and teams of any discipline who want to pursue transformative research, to generate significant shifts in understanding that could improve human life, health, and well-being. So by life, we basically are saying that it doesn't necessarily need to be linked to a disease, and or they can develop tools, methodologies, conceptual frameworks, and not necessarily be linked to a question, but be relevant to discovery research or health-related research. We don't know where the ideas will come from, so our remit is deliberately broad and discipline agnostic or discipline inclusive. As long as the research proposed will generate knowledge that has the potential to improve human life, health, and well-being. We know that significant shifts in understanding will mean different things in different locations, disciplines, and contexts. So it is important for you to articulate in your applications when you apply why the research proposed would be transformative in your field or research context. And we will talk a little bit more about remit in the slides coming up. So who do we fund? In the discovery research, we fund individuals at all career stages and teams of researchers. That's post-PhD, though, and for today's purposes. Our schemes are open to lead applicants based in the UK, Republic of Ireland, and low to middle income countries as defined by the OECD, which would include Brazil. From that list, we exclude China and India, however. If you're applying for a Discovery Award, which allows team applications, co-applicants can be from anywhere in the world if applying as part of a team, except for China. And applicants from low to middle income countries do not need to partner with researchers from high income countries. It could just be all from low income countries, as appropriate for the research. So the funding schemes that we have under open mode, that is open to any ideas, are the early career awards, the career development awards, discovery awards, as I mentioned earlier. And basically what they are is early career awards is effectively postdoctoral fellowships. Is for postdocs early in their postdoctoral careers, up to 3 years from PhD. I think that's the maximum from early career, and it's basically to develop their research identity. What we cover here is running costs of up to £400,000 and plus the salary of the individual, and they're usually for 5 years. And depending on the discipline, it could be less, and it could be held for longer than 5 years if applying to hold the award part-time. Career Development Award, since everybody here I understand is from the life sciences, is effectively funding for individuals transitioning to independence. So the first PI position, effectively, the first PI position, and so it's for researchers with the potential to be international research leaders to develop this research capabilities or their independent groups. What we cover here is the salary of the investigator, if required, and that basically depends on the type of contract that you might have with the institution, and all the running costs that are needed to run the program. It can be up to 8 years. Discovery awards are for established researchers, and team awards. So if you want to work with a group of individuals, Discovery Awards is your route. But it has to be usually led by established researcher. What do we mean by established researcher? Established are those individuals who have experience in leading innovative research, have the necessary experience to drive and lead a research program, and have a track record of managing and training others. So they are established individuals in their own field. Like I said, it could be an individual award, or it could be a team, and it could be single discipline or multidisciplines, and we cover up to 8 years for running costs, basically, of the proposal. Salaries is varied, so I would suggest that if you are wondering about salaries for the lead applicants, to contact us with questions more specific and relevant to your proposal. What is the remit of Wellcome? As I said, it's discipline agnostic and is very open. Is open to blue skies type of ideas, but we wanted to have a clear link to human life and health and well-being. So it can be as basic as you like it. So looking at fundamental processes that underpin biology to understand more about how life works, all the way to things that have a lot more translational potential, or research that has social, cultural, political, and historical context of human health, health and disease. It is important here to highlight that in the discovery research, the research that we support does not need to be linked to the health challenges. So it does not need to be under related to infectious disease, mental health, or climate and change, but it's more open than that. So some of the common remit questions that we have are some of these ones. A lot of people ask us, what do you mean necessarily by discovery research? What is discovery research? Because we say discovery quite a lot. It basically just means generating new knowledge, new understanding, or new insights into how human life and health works. Tool development is also in remit. We consider that discovery as long as the tool is for use for research, for discovery research. Are we mainly interested in laboratory science? No, it doesn't need to be wet lab. Research can be in the lab, but it can also be field research, can involve observational studies, experimental theoretical approaches. Does the research need to have clinical or policy impact, or be translational? It can be to a certain degree, but it does not need to have a clear link to impact. But if there is one, we would like to hear about it. So effectively, it can be as basic as you like it to be. And can I conduct a clinical trial under these schemes? We do not fund large-scale clinical trials where the main aim is to test an intervention. However, the design, a clinical trial design, is acceptable if that is the best study design for your questions. Small feasibility work can also be included. Should you have questions about your proposal and whether your research is or isn't in remit, please do email us at fundingsupport@wellcome.org. That email will come up a few more times later on. And I can assure you that there will be a group of people who look at it and will answer your questions individually. So here are some examples of what we fund through our open MOOC portfolio. And these are all examples from low to medium income countries. And I've included 2 examples from South America. So there's an application in differentiation in neural crest cells, which is developmental biology. It's very fundamental. It's a career development award from an applicant from Argentina, and one from population health, public health from Brazil. This is an early career award from Marina Carpena, and its association between sleep and mental health throughout development. And we have all our grant holders there's a database of all our grant holders on our website, so you can always find out who we funded throughout the years. So I want to talk a little bit about application and review process, because it is a little bit different, I think, at Wellcome from most places. So the 3 schemes have a fairly similar review process in that once you submit your proposals, again, there's 3 rounds a year. So this happens 3 times a year for all of the 3 schemes. And the applications come in, and the first thing that happens to them is that they will be checked for eligibility and remit to see whether the applicants are eligible and whether the content or the research proposal is within remit for the schemes. Once they are deemed to be eligible and in remit, they will enter the review process. And all applications will go to a shortlisting panel. And for the early career awards, there's 6 different shortlisting panels. For career development awards and discovery awards, there are 10 of them, and they're basically subject specific. So for example, there is a review panel for cell and developmental biology. There's one for immunology. And it's comprised of experts in this case, developmental biologists and immunologists, They might not be experts in your particular area of research, but they will be experts in more generally in those subjects. If your proposal is shortlisted, and that means it's invited to interview, it will go out to external written review. That is the review process that we are most familiar with. That's the written review that most funding organizations will conduct. And those will be reviewed by experts in your field. Then the next step of the review process is an interview. And this is conducted by interview panels that are not subject specific. So they're very generalist. The individuals that will be leading the discussion for a particular proposal will be closer to the proposal in terms of subject area. But in a room, let's say, for example, you have an immunology application, the room might be comprised of some immunologists, but you could have some cognitive neuroscientists, some public health individuals, some developmental biology, structural biologists. So what I'm basically trying to, the point I'm trying to make here is that there are three different audiences your proposal needs to speak to, and they're very different. You're going from sort of general but subject specific to very expert in your field to generalist panel. The proposals are actually quite short. They're only 3,000 words, and yet they need to speak to three different types of audiences. So when you write your proposal, think of the audience that you are speaking to. And anyways, so this is the review process, and the interview panel will make a funding recommendation, and you'll come back into Wellcome, and we'll make the final funding decision. And so how are these reviewed? So the proposals are reviewed for the research proposal, the applicant, and the research environment. So at the shortlisting stage is more of a binary yes or no, and the whole proposal is assessed in a holistic manner. So there's no particular scoring, let's say, for each of these different aspects. However, at the interview stage, each of these aspects is scored differently. It has different weighting. The research proposal accounts for 50% of the overall assessment score, the applicant 25%, and the research environment 25%. One thing to mention here is that the external review, the written review, the external reviewers only see the case for support, the scientific aspect of it. They do not see your CV. They do not see anything else that is a part of the proposal. It's not anonymized, but they will only really see the research vision effectively. So what are we looking for in the research proposal? The research proposal obviously counts for 50%, so that's the biggest weighting. We want proposals to be bold. Means that the proposal seeks to deliver a significant shift in understanding or has the potential to stimulate new and innovative research in the relevant fields and beyond. We want them to be creative, so the proposals develop and test new concepts, methods, technologies, or explore existing ideas in a new way. Where the goal of the research proposal is to develop a new method or tool or technology, they will provide a significant advance over existing methods. And obviously, we want our proposals to be high quality. That is, they need to be cohesive, well designed, and deliver proposed outcomes and outputs in a feasible way, and that is supported by evidence. One thing I want to highlight here is that the assessment of the proposal is context specific. And by that, we mean that how it's assessed will depend on the field and the career stage of the applicant. We understand that context shapes researchers' needs, and we want to support ambitious projects according to the local needs. We understand that bold and creative mean different things in a different context, and we incorporate this into the assessment criteria that the reviewers consider. So applicants count for 25%, the score, 25% of the score. And here we're looking, here obviously the applicants are assessed based on the relevant relative career stage. So we look for applicants who have a relevant experience for the planned work, who have ownership of ideas and can drive the project forward. We look for individuals who have made contributions to both the research field and generation of knowledge, and to the wider research community as well, and have the skills to undertake the research proposed. So we are Yeah. So and we're looking for individuals who have experience to who have shown experience to develop others as well, and their plans to contribute plans and contribute. Sorry, I'm getting muddled a bit here. Career development plans and contributions to the career development of others. And if the application is for a team award, we would like also to understand the rationale for a team approach and the contribution for each member. So each of the co-applicants needs to be essential for the application to for the proposal to be carried out. And very important is that any partnerships are equitable across institutions and geographies. Um, so we also consider a research environment, and that's 25% of the overall score. And here I will spend a little bit more time because it is a little bit more unique to Wellcome. So what do we mean by research environment? Typically, the strength of a research environment is judged by the excellence of the infrastructure in the location where the research will take place. However, at Wellcome, our definition is a bit broader than that, and it goes beyond the infrastructure and focuses also on the culture and behaviors that create an excellent research practice. So we see research environment as an approach to how research is conducted. We want to ensure that people are involved in research thrive in equitable and diverse and supportive cultures, and for people from all backgrounds to be treated fairly, with respect, and enabled to succeed. So different things that you want to consider under research environment, because this is part of the proposal, and the different aspects, different parts of the proposal will be asking for your your thoughts on a research environment. So yes, you might want to think about how you will embed research environment approaches into your research practice, articulate an approach relative to research discipline, a career stage and experience, and you need to show that you have learned, reflected, and thought of answers that are personal to you in terms of these examples that are here on the slide, to your team, and your institution. So this is not an exhaustive list of the types of things that you can think about, but these are some of the things that you could consider under research environment. And as you can see, it goes beyond the infrastructure that is available to you to carry out your research. So we're often asked for some of the top tips when applying for Wellcome, and so here are some. The first thing that we say is to get as much information as you can. There's a fair amount of information on the website, including some webinars and a lot more information on each of the individual schemes. You really want to discuss your ideas with your colleagues, both inside and outside of the research field. And it's very important to discuss your ideas with colleagues outside of your research field, because you want to think about the review process and how you want to mirror a little bit the potential interview committee, for example, which is quite broad and has individuals who will be outside of your research field, and to ensure that they understand what you're trying to propose, what you're proposing, and the importance of the research that you're proposing. So again, write your proposal with the audience in mind. For team awards, I mentioned this earlier, but make sure that everyone in the team is making an essential contribution. So do a deletion test. If a particular individual is not part of the grant, can the grant succeed? If everything can be delivered successfully, then that individual is not required. Make sure that the team is everybody in the team is essential. Ask for the time and resources that you need to make sure that these are justified. These are quite large awards, but they need to be fully justified. And it can go up to 8 years if your research requires 8 years. You do not have to ask for 8 years. And by 8 years, I mean career development awards and discovery awards. The early career awards are for 5 years. For fellowship applications, and that is for early career development awards, consider how the award will further your career, because they are to develop your career. And give yourself plenty of time. There are 3 rounds for each of this, 3 rounds a year. So if you're not quite ready for one round, just submit it to the next one when your application might be stronger. If one application is not successful, you have a second chance on the same topic, but that's it. So we give everybody 2 chances on the same topic. if you want to submit again, your topic has to change entirely, basically. Significant changes are expected. And as you saw from the scoring, consider your whole application, not just the proposal. So it includes, your contributions as part of the applicant scores, and the aspects of the research environment. And before I stop, there's something that I want to bring your attention to. Currently, we're running it's an opportunity to basically observe one of these a review process at Wellcome, and you can apply to be a committee observer, and basically offers you an opportunity to observe funding advisory committee. This is basically a shortlisting. We do not have the opportunity open for interviews yet. And this is open to researchers who are considering applying for Wellcome funding in the next 2 years. These are for individuals who have not held a Wellcome award and are not that senior, effectively, who have not sat in review panels in the past. So why is this an interesting opportunity? It will enable individuals to understand how committees use our assessment criteria and how different aspects of the application are considered during the assessment process. Basically demystifies the process a little bit. It makes it a little bit more transparent, I suppose. So with that, I want to finish by thanking you for your attention. Like I mentioned a few times, if you have any questions about your particular case, your eligibility and remit, please email us to fundingsupport@wellcome.org, or you can phone, but I think the email is probably a better option. And I assure you that your email gets assessed by the specific relevant working groups within Wellcome, who assess either eligibility or remit, and we consider every case individually, and we'll get back to you with an answer. If you have any more questions, do feel free to email us at either that email address or discoverresearch@wellcome.org. We'd love to hear your ideas. If you have interesting ideas for research opportunities as well. And if you're interested to know a little bit more about funding opportunities at Wellcome and to be kept up to date with the one-off calls, you can sign up for a monthly newsletter at wellcome.org/research newsletter. And I've provided QR codes along the way for more information should you want it. And I think that's all I want to say for now. And I'll be happy, and Sarah and I will be happy to take questions, and I'll stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Sheny. I think that was really helpful. And I regret to inform the transmission to my YouTube channel didn't work, but since we're recording, it was some kind of technical glitch. But since we're recording, then we'll make this video available both the main channel as well as the Institute's channel. So just telling people who might have heard complaints from people who were expecting to watch it on YouTube, just wait a little bit and we'll try to post it as soon as possible. A lot of people join us here in the Meet environment so that they can ask questions personally. And so just as a reminder, Sheny will be answering general questions and not specific ones, because specific ones we need more work and more detail. Then you should address them through email. And we also have Sarah here who will also answer more questions regarding early career development. So we're open for questions. I'll be on a checkout, so you can write it through the chat if you feel more comfortable doing that, or you can open your microphone and ask directly. Just feel free. I'll make sure I monitor here the question and answer written. Anybody? People are still typing, sorry.
Okay, so first, thank you for the presentation. It was very enlightening. And I want to ask, you don't have to have a co-applicant in a high-income country, but this counts? Is it better if you have a co-applicant or not?
So for discovery awards and co-applicants, no, it doesn't count. It doesn't favor you and it does not disadvantage you. It's everything should be driven by what the research requires. So if the best person that you need to collaborate or need to work with is in the United States, for example, let's say, or in the UK, then that's the best individual you should collaborate with, especially if you already have a history of collaborating with them. If the best individual is next door, then that's fine. I think it's what is driven by the research, as long as everybody in the team has the right expertise to deliver.
Okay, thank you.
So I think you answered my question, answering hers. But how important is the track record of the applicant or the institution in the decision-making process?
I think track record depends. It's all assessed by career stage, right? And so the expectations will be different depending on the career stage of the individual. Do you want to start with early career?
Yeah, so with early career, I think we don't expect people who are straight out of their PhD to have a huge list of publications. The important thing is to highlight what your contributions have been. So at the early career stage, yes, you might have a couple of publications from your PhD. You might also have contributed, being a co-author on somebody else's paper as a collaborator, or you may have contributed to making a tool or some software, things like that. So it's about, we use what we call a narrative CV now. There is an opportunity to list publications, but the key thing is to say what your contribution was on that publication. And the narrative allows you to explain the contribution and go into other things that you think make you the right person to do that work. So it's about showing that you have the skills and experience for what you want to undertake. And Sheny can maybe elaborate. As you get through the more senior awards, then things change a bit. The expectations are a little bit different.
Yeah, no, the expectations at a more senior established level, again, is driven by what the research is requires it, but it's a little more standard what you would expect individuals to have, because these are quite large awards. So if somebody applies for a £5 million award for 8 years, encompassing 8 groups, the expectations are that the individual leading it should have enough experience on that subject, has delivered significant contributions on that particular topic, because they're asking for us to trust them with a huge amount of cash, right? And a significant program. And so they need to also have the experience to manage a program of that scale. Sometimes individuals will be scattered throughout the world. And so it needs to be somebody who has already experience of managing multiple groups across different interactions across different geographies. So it really depends on a lot on the research, the career stage of the individual, and so on and so forth. But for Discovery Awards, because it's a team award, so the lead applicant needs to be established, but co-applicants do not need to be that established.
Oh.
So it can be at different career stages, including postdocs, actually. And so the contributions for everybody and the expectations and the track record for everybody will be assessed based on the career stage.
Okay.
Can I just add to the Discovery Awards? So for Discovery Awards, there are lots of different options. So you can have a co-applicant who's going to be a major contributor, but you can also have collaborators who can just be the best person that you need. And that might not be a big interaction. They might just be advisors, or they might just be teaching you a technique or something. And then you can also have postdocs either as co-applicants, but they can also be named postdocs just employed on the grant in the usual way. So as for these sort of bigger awards, there are lots of options of how you incorporate different people. So you might want to apply as an individual and just have collaborators and postdocs, or it could be a bigger team where each co-applicant can have, it's like a team of teams, if you like.
So yeah, perhaps clarifying a little bit what a co-applicant and a collaborator is, the distinction. Basically, a co-applicant is somebody whose name is on the award, will receive resources directly, and is absolutely essential to drive the research. A collaborator is an individual who might be important, but they're basically often give people access to reagents, resources, technology, methods, but are not, generally speaking, not receiving resources.
I have
So
a couple of Thank you. I have a couple of more questions, but I'll go to the end of line. So Irene and Newton, and then I'll return.
I just have a quick question regarding the postdoc. So in a discovery project, even though it's a discovery project, could you include postdoctoral fellowships? Because does the postdoc has to be funded elsewhere and then join as a participant or collaborator? Can
So
you
like
ask for a fellowship under the discovery?
Yeah, so we would not necessarily, we would not term them fellowships, but you can't ask for the postdoc salary on there. So a postdoc can just be a postdoc as the staff, basically. The postdoc can also be the co-applicant if they contribute significantly to the grant. Generally speaking, those are for very senior postdocs that have been around the group for quite some time, and more often than not, individuals who have decided that that's what they want to do long term rather than pursue independence. That is just what we see more often than not, but it's not always the case. Sometimes we have individuals that are much earlier in their career. So you can ask for their salary. They do not have to be funded by other sources, but they can also be funded by other sources and still be postdocs. It's the different configurations can work. So if anybody has any questions, particular case, we can answer those as well.
I should say, if somebody wants their own postdoctoral fellowship with their own project that's not linked to, say, a Discovery Award, they should apply for an early career award in their own right, and that might be a different route for them.
Thank you. I think Newton's next.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's very, very lovely. I have a basic question. I want to learn more about the structure of the proposal. What I need to put in the proposal. I have a word limitation, and what do you expect me to do this, to organize my proposal? If you have any.
I say, I probably it's fair to say that if we see 50 proposals, there are 50 different ways of structuring it. I think everybody does it differently. So the proposals are quite short. Wellcome does 3,000 words for the case for support, the scientific case. Of course, there's the usual bits and bobs, which are the your CV part, your publications, your contributions, and then there's a special section that probably most people are not familiar with unless you apply for Wellcome, which is the research environment section. Your contributions to a research environment, your plans on how you can contribute to a positive research environment. But in terms of the scientific bit, is 3,000 words, and plus 2 pages of figures. And beyond that, how you structure it, everybody does it differently. that's all.
My question is, if you have a good tip for us to write a good proposal, or how we should structure a good proposal. That's my question.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure I'd call it a tip, but I think what works quite well often is that you have very clear research. You sort of start off with your research questions, so you can call them aims, objectives, whatever. But essentially, what is the question that you're trying to ask? Could be your hypothesis, say, and then you have each of your sort of, maybe call them a work package or something, and each one of those is the approach that you're going to use to answer that question. So some of the sort of errors that people make, I think, in proposals is sometimes reviewers are not clear. We could read 3,000 words and then I'm not entirely sure what they're trying to do. So I think that's the biggest mistake that people make. It sounds very simple, just, have one, maybe 1 to 5 clear research questions, and then lay out how you're going to answer that question.
Excellent.
And the spacing on the form is very tight. It's only 3,000 words. So sometimes people spend way too long explaining the background, and then they run out of space to actually tell us what they're going to do. So we're left with I know all the background, but I'm still a bit unclear. And there's not. And the other criticism that people get often is there's not enough detail. So you need it's very hard to find the balance of the level of detail when you've only got 3,000
Yes.
words. But
Yes.
keep the background concise.
So basically, if you put yourself in a reviewer's shoes and think, what would I need to know to assess this application? So a very clear question, like Sarah said, and how a clear experimental approach, backed by evidence. Obviously, the more senior and the bigger the grant, the more preliminary data you should have, or things to support the your proposal. Here, in terms of how much preliminary data, enough, whatever that means, in the sense that it's enough to mitigate some of the risk. We're not risk adverse, but also we don't want to be reckless either.
Mm-hmm.
So there needs to be enough to show that what you're wanting to pursue is worth pursuing.
Mhm.
And then and so basically what reviewers do, a lot of it is they assess feasibility. So how much information you need to include in there for it to be feasible. Now, because the structure is 3,000 words, you're not going to get down to the levels of nanomolar concentrations or whatever buffer.
Mhm.
Rather, but they will have to see a laid out experimental plan that at least you're thinking on paper. Now, you remember, this is if you apply for a discovery award, which I assume maybe you're established individual, you're applying for an 8-year award. In the first 5 years, we will require a fairly detailed plan, experimental plan, to basically assess the various steps that you're going to be doing. Should something be of incredibly high risk, you might want to label contingencies, the standard things that you would normally do for. And for the first 5 years, needs to be fairly detailed so that the entire thought process needs to be on paper, so that reviewers can assess the direction that you're going. But for the last 3 years, now we all know research changes a lot, and what happens even fourth or fifth year might be completely different from what you've written on the proposal. And for the remaining last 3 years, it's really hard to plan. So looking for is more a sort of like a direction of travel that you might take should everything that you've proposed so far work the way that you intend, that you're hoping it will work. It doesn't need to be a detailed plan for the last 3 years because you can't.
Okay.
One thing I would say, actually, just to pick, Sheny did say this as part of her sort of top tips, but I think because it's really hard to judge yourself whether you've been clear, whether you've given enough of information for somebody to understand it, that's why it's super important to share your proposal with colleagues who are not directly linked to your field.
Yes.
People who are in the same field will understand what you mean, even if you haven't been clear. But if you show it to somebody who works maybe in a different department or something like that, they won't know the detail, and it'll be really obvious to them, hang on, this logic doesn't flow, or I don't understand how this approach is going to answer that question, because that's a common thing that people fall up on, that what they've said they're going to do might be fine, but it won't answer the question that you've posed. So that's why you have to sort of find some critical friend. You don't want somebody who's going to tell you, oh, that's brilliant, that's lovely, I really love it. Mm-hmm. You want friends who are going to go, I'm not sure about this bit. This bit doesn't quite work. And get them to look at it critically, so that they go, well, I don't think you've got the evidence to support that hypothesis. So that's the sort of level of critique you need from your friends before you submit. And that's why you need to find people that you know are really harsh as well. Don't go for people who are soft. The harshest critics.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
A lot of processes that you talk about are homologous to FAPESP, and I was wondering this another step that we have in FAPESP, which is we'll have to write yearly follow-up reports. So how frequent are the follow-up reports? The best case scenario, get funded. How often do you want to hear from us?
Yeah, there's an annual reporting process. It's very light touch. It's very, very light touch. Currently, it's always evolving, but currently, to give an example, we asked 3 questions. One is, tell us your progress. Some people list publications. Some people give us the day-by-day, playbook. So it's different levels of detail, whatever suits you. And then there's another question basically asks about clinical trials, which if you're working on very fundamental research, doesn't apply. And the last question is, do you want us to contact you for anything in particular? So that's the extent of it.
This one about challenges. What challenges have you had?
Okay, there's one on challenges apparently, which I
yeah, I mean, you know, if you haven't
way.
had any, you don't have to put anything in there. But people, you know, currently people say, "Oh, I was really delayed by COVID lockdowns," or "I couldn't recruit a postdoc," or things like that. So it's really light touch. I certainly wouldn't let that put you off applying for a Wellcome grant.
No. So there's always talk about federated approach, which although the research funders in the UK have, we have not taken that up at the moment. We have it for the end of grant report, but you know, this is an evolving area. But whatever it is, Wellcome is very cognizant of not asking for information that we won't use. So we'll always keep it to the minimum.
Thanks. But yes, I think you're.
I could add something which is more fun to that, in that we do have another way of keeping in touch with us is that we have researcher meetings that we invite all our researchers to. I'm not sure what frequency, but you'd expect to be invited to one of those at least once during your award, hopefully more than once. And that's an opportunity, you know, we invite people to speak. It's an opportunity to present your work. So it's a way of keeping in touch with Wellcome without, you know, it's not like a formal thing. That's meant to be a much more positive, collaborative, networking opportunity. And that you can keep in touch with Wellcome. You're allocated a funding manager if you get the grant, and then that's your point of contact for any issues or problems or questions that you might have throughout the grant. So there are lots of informal touch points you can use, but the formal reporting should be quite light touch.
Okay, my second question was about if it was a good idea to send preliminary results, but you already answered when you said like the 3,000 words. So yeah, I got it. And
but there's 2 pages of figures, right?
Yeah. My last question is, if a proposal is rejected, do the applicant has the opportunity to get some feedback to improve in future submissions?
Yes. So I think so. If depending on which stage of the proposal the applicant is rejected at, if the application is withdrawn for eligibility and remit reasons, they will be told exactly why. Well, they will be told it's eligibility and remit. If it is withdrawn at the shortlisting stage, they will get a few bullet points. And then because individuals based in a low to middle income country can have a one-to-one call, and we can go a little bit more into detail as to what happened and hopefully help strengthen the next proposal. And then if it's rejected at the interview stage, they will have, again, also some bullet points. Sorry?
Reviewers comments.
Yes, but that's not. See, so everybody gets reviewer comment, but I'll get back to that in a second. So also short. Oh, I'm losing my train of thought. A feedback letter with some high-level bullet points on what happened, on the decision, how the decision was made, the key issues with the proposal, and again also an offer to discuss with somebody. A welcome. But in between, everybody will get, so before the interview, everybody who was invited to interview, everybody who has an application that's gone out to external review will receive the peer review ahead of time. So they will get a little bit of an idea there. But that may or may not necessarily lead directly to why a particular decision was made. But because for Brazilian applicants, there will be an opportunity to have a more in-depth discussion on the outcome of the proposal. So that will definitely be an option. And like I said, for every proposal, there is, if somebody's unsuccessful, they can submit a second one. And then that's it for that topic. They could potentially submit more, but it has to be on a different topic.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sheny, and thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Irene, for organizing all of this. It was very enlightening. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
All right, David, there are no further questions. Okay, so hopefully the recording worked, because don't know the technical glitches. And then we'll make this this video available through the institutional YouTube channel. Sheny, any chance that you could share the PDF of the slides that you projected also?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be good, because then I think Vanessa could also share it as the research committee to employees too. This was really great. I think it helped a lot, and expect to do more reading soon from us.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, looking forward to more applications from Brazil. And if there's anything we can be of any assistance with at any point, please do get in touch. And yeah, should any applicants have any questions, we'd be happy to help as well.
Yeah, definitely. Particularly early career ones for me.
Yes, there are a lot of yeah. Actually, there's one last question I want to ask. See, there's some grad students in here. The timeline for application. So let's say they're doing a PhD, right? They're finishing a PhD. What do you recommend for postdoc fellowship applications? 1 year before the defense, 3 months before, 3 months after?
Well, they have to have defended their thesis already to be eligible. So that's a straightforward answer. In terms of time after that, I think it's when they're ready. You know, we have 3 rounds a year, and they have 3 years past their defense, the date it's awarded, to apply. So I think everybody's different. Some people have a very clear idea what they want to do, and you know, and they can plan it doing their PhD, and then you just have to wait until after you've defended to submit. But you know, some people know exactly what they want to do. Others might need to start a postdoc, have a think about it, find their collaborators, talk to people, clarify their ideas before they apply. So I think there's no one rule for that. Just keep an eye on that time. So the 3-year post-PhD, we do take account of part-time working or time off for parental leave or anything like that. So it's 3 years of research time that we count. So for example, if somebody had spent a year teaching or something, we wouldn't count that. Or somebody who's doing clinical work, we would take that out as well. So it's 3 years of actual research time minus all the delays and things as well.
So they have to show proof of defense to apply.
Yeah, they have to have been awarded their degree. So there's a question on the application form, which is when was the date of your viva? So viva defense, that's the thing. Yeah, so they do need to have done that to submit. Doesn't stop you planning in advance. I always tell people, you know, if you're interested in doing it, start thinking about it in the final year of your PhD.
So Sarah just talked about time commitments. I just want to jump in there because I forgot to mention that there are time commitments that are required for this schemes. So for an early career award and a career development award, because you're asking for if you're asking for the fellow's salary, then the expectation is that you spend 80% of your research time on that proposal. For discovery awards, because the lead applicant is not asking for salary, and most co-applicants do not ask for salary, the expectation is that you spend a minimum of 20%.
So I see Patricia, who's our graduate program director, has a question. Patricia, please.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you, Sheny, and for your time, and also thank you all for organizing this. I'm sorry, my connection. I lost my connection in the middle of the talk. So if this question has already been made, please forgive me. But one you were saying, the two of you were saying now about some time frame requirements. So after PhD, one can submit a postdoc proposal in a 3-year range, considering this person has been doing research since then. I was just thinking about the different, the maternity question regarding these fellowships. So if someone has had like a baby or has adopted a baby, does this count on this time frame, or can we just skip?
You could take that out. We won't count that towards the 3 years.
Oh,
And same
okay.
with if somebody's been sort of on long-term sick leave or parental leave, or if somebody's come back from, say, maternity leave and then gone to work part-time or something like that, we will take that out as well. And we'll even allow for things like, some people may have had a change of career and gone to do something entirely different and then come back. So we will discount any time that's outside of that research time. But if somebody that works with you, a colleague, has specific questions, you can contact that funding support email with a very specific question about, am I eligible? This is my personal circumstances, and then we can give that individual a definitive answer. But in general, we'll allow for anything that's some sort of. And our forms also have a section on them where you can say what career breaks you've had, and then that's an opportunity to say, I lost 6 months because of maternity leave. I lost 6 months because I was sick. I lost 2 years from COVID. You can see how there are lots of exemptions. Yeah.
Does it include career breaks for travel?
Just going on holiday, yeah. So you could take 6 months to go backpacking around the world, and that we wouldn't have
just take some time off. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, you don't actually have to say what you were doing in that
time.
You're
doing, okay.
We're not that well. It's quite fun to see applications, see what people have been doing, but that's personal information that you're not required to share. You just tell us that I wasn't working in a research post in that time.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? So I'll stop transmitting here. And also stop recording. And thank you again for your time, patience, and hopefully you hear from us.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing some applications.
Thank you very much for organizing and for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.